Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Love's Messages. I'm so glad you're joining me today. So, I've been thinking about the concept of forgiveness, and I think before I go any farther into that, I need to bring some clarity to the concept of the ego. So, the way that the Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery speak about the ego is kind of unique. So, the way, and I have found this to be so helpful in my life. Like, this is really this idea of the ego, and it's been a real game changer. It's a real shift for me. So, the way the Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery talk about the ego is, rather than just talking about it from the psychological perspective, it really talks about the ego as really just an operating system. So as humans, we have an operating system. And that operating system is, we've been programmed with this operating system in order to keep us safe, in order to keep the body alive, really. I mean, not to keep us safe, really, because it keeps the body alive. And that's its main purpose. But the problem with that is that it doesn't have a lot of complexity. It doesn't have any wisdom. And it doesn't know what happiness is. So although you may, and obviously if you're listening to this, your ego has kept your body alive, which is like, yay for that. But it's like probably many operating system, it has flaws. It has strengths and it has flaws. It has weaknesses. You could almost think about those weaknesses as a kind of a virus in the system, a bug in the system. So the ego's advice to us creates a lot of suffering, a lot of unhappiness. So it's not that we want to we're not labeling the ego as good or bad. That's duality, that's separation. So it's not really good or bad. You could, depending on which side of the fence you are, but the ego is, so many wisdom teachings talk about the ego in a very impersonal way, and they actually recommend, especially like the I Ching, it recommends that you don't say my ego, but rather the ego. The operating system. We all have been given this operating system, and it is truly a troublemaker. And we have to have compassion for ourselves for having this troublemaker of an operating system. Yes, it's kept our bodies alive, but it's created so much unhappiness because it doesn't know what happiness is. It doesn't, the underlying premise or the underlying driving force behind the ego is fear. So you can't really expect a fear-based operating system to be able to create happiness for you. It's asking too much. So up until now, on planet Earth, the ego has really been very dominant. And I've said this in other videos, we're moving into a time on planet Earth where the ego is going to take a back seat and the true self is going to emerge more as the leader of our lives, which is really good news. Because like I said, the ego's motto is seek but do not find. It pretends that it knows how to help us find happiness. It's like, you get the romantic partner, you get the money, you get the job, you get the nice place to live, you get the whatever it is, whatever shiny object the ego wants you to believe is going to bring the happiness that you're looking for. The problem is that it doesn't work. it's, I can't think of the right word, but it it's it's a rabbit hole. We can't trust the ego because it, like I said, it lacks complexity. Its thinking is very short term. It's not looking at long term. It's and it actually doesn't know what brings happiness. The programming is fear based. I mean, it's looking for danger. It's looking for threats. And it sees those threats everywhere. It sees those threats in other people. So one of the ego's main weapons is judgment. This is very evident in, you meet your, the love of your life, your new lover, and everything is wonderful, and you experience those brief periods of, happiness, what feels like happiness, and then the ego sets about to, pick the person apart, piece by piece, bone by bone. I mean, and then within a fairly short time, maybe that's a few days, maybe that's a few weeks, maybe it's a few months, or a few years, the ego starts to tell you, this person isn't so great. It's pointing out all of their flaws. It's pointing out all of the things that are wrong with them. Let's find somebody else. I'm sure that this person is the problem. We need to find somebody else. So like I said, the ego doesn't really know how to create happiness. It's not its job. But the true self, which the true self is the embodiment of love. The true self is that part of us that we share with the mind of God. It's the opposite of the egoic self. It actually does know how to create happiness. So the ego is very serious. It takes life very seriously. It takes you very seriously. It's not really a lot of fun. But, it's necessary. So, I mean, we need an ego, and, it comes in handy when it if a lion's charging down the pathway towards you, or a wild animal, it helps you get out of the way. It does help to navigate certain sort of challenges or whatever, but it's not going to bring us where we want to go. It doesn't know how to create a fulfilling life. It doesn't know how to create a meaningful life. It doesn't really know much at all. So it's like we have an ego, but we are not the ego. We are the part of, we are spirit. We are love. And that part of us actually knows how to navigate our life a lot better. We actually, there's very little that the ego has to offer that actually is helpful. So I just wanted to put that clarification out there. It's so helpful to just, recognize that, the things that the ego is telling you, the thoughts that's planning in your mind, these other people are shitty, these other people are useless, you're useless, you're the problem. All of those thoughts are coming from the egoic mind. They're coming from the operating system. So we don't want to love the operating system. What we want to do is we want to bring love to the person who has the operating system, who is, and basically that's ourselves and all of humanity. I mean, we need to have love and compassion for everyone, because we all have this same programming, and we are all dealing with the effects of this negative, constant negativity, constant judgment, constant fear. And it's not personal. It's not personal to us. Everyone is dealing with this. And we have to have a lot of compassion for ourselves and others because of that. So that's going to play in a little bit more as we go along. Just if you know, I love the teachings, the Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery, and many of the other teachings through the Christ mind. I think that this is the way that we are going to create the new earth. I would like to invite you to check them out and consider whether or not they might be helpful in you and helping us to deal with this programming that is so troublesome and leads us so far astray and so off course. It's the opposite to the guidance and the inner wisdom of our true self. And that part of us is really what is going to help us to create this new earth, what is going to create loving, beautiful lives in our families, in our communities, and in our world. So thanks for joining me. I love you dearly. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Be love. Bye.